Okay, so this is day 3. I've left Aachen. I'm on my way to Trier, and somehow I forgot the fact that I had intended not to cross the border into Belgium and take another route, but the first thing you knew, following my trusty Garmin there, I'm now in Belgium. It is interesting. I haven't been in Belgium in a long, long time. I think Charlemagne liked to hang around in Belgium. It is interesting, though, how the road signs have subtly changed here. They're now bilingual in French and German. And the topography has kind of changed too. It's real flat through here. Very agricultural. There's some barns and stuff. I've seen some beautiful cows through here. If I see any more cows, I'll get a picture of a cow. Okay, so it's now 9:44, and I'm still in Belgium, but headed south, back toward Deutschland. It is interesting how subtly different Belgium is from Germany. I notice now that the signs are not bilingual. They're almost exclusively, as near as I can tell, in French, although I wouldn't know Flemish if it hit me over the head. And it just appears to all be in French. Here are some signs. I don't see anything that suggests anything other than French. This rural Belgium is like one big garden, even up here where it's woods. The whole thing looks like a garden. It's really beautiful through here. Look at this. Still traveling through Belgium, still impressed by the park-like quality of the place. And I'm running low on fuel, so I don't know if I can make it to Deutschland before I have to buy some gas. But I think we're coming up on a major gas station up here, and I'll have to be my very first purchase of gas. I have no idea how to go about purchasing gas in Belgium, but I guess I'm going to find out. We're kind of up in these low mountain elevation, 545 meters, and we're headed south on E42. I found exactly where I am on the map. We're not far from the German border. And for some unknown reason, I'll feel safer there. We're coming up on the town of St. Vith, and then the German border is not far from there. But my car is telling me to get some gas, and it's weird because, like, there aren't any gas stations out here. I think I have to get off the interstate to get some gas. Well, now that was very interesting. I got gas here, and what you do, you go put your credit card in over there, choose your gas, and then you pump it out of that. I was a little worried though, because my first credit card the Chase Freedom card didn't work. Thank goodness for my USAA card, it worked. And I went and got myself 32 liters for 55.89 euros. So that's $55 for about 8 gallons. So that's a major source of worry removed at Saint-Vith, Belgium. Got my tank full. I'm good, according to the predictometer here. I'm good for 640 kilometers. We shall see. Anyway, we're good certainly till
take the ramp on the right
for a lot of driving
toward Luxembourg.
And here we are headed toward Trier. We'll be in Deutschland real soon. I kind of like Belgium, though. It saved me my credit card work there. That's what's important. Okay, we just crossed into Deutschland. It doesn't look any different right here than Belgium, but that's not so surprising. The main difference really is the signage on the autobahns. That's how I knew, or that's how I suspected that I wasn't in Deutschland anymore, was when the signs changed. But obviously at the border the topography is the same. There was a deep river valley. We went over that, and the next thing you knew, boom, we're in Deutschland. I'm not sure what river that was. Wouldn't have been easy to get tanks over it, that's for sure, without a bridge. And it's interesting that up here, suddenly the road has turned into a 3-lane road. Good old-fashioned 3-lane autobahn. Kind of like some of the roads in the U.S. that were built in the 30s and 40s. I'm thinking especially in central Pennsylvania. What was it? Was it Route 22, 322, something like that? Going up to State College, there was a lot of 3-lane action. Okay, so now we're about, I don't know, 10 miles outside of Trier, and there's a massive solar farm here. Actually, I've been by a number of these things. Did I say solar? I mean wind. But I've also been by a number of solar places too. I'm near France because there's a French radio station playing Claude Debussy. Anyway, so we are in the eastern part of, the western part of Germany, not far from France, not far from Luxembourg. And it's beautiful up here. It truly is.
À Toulouse. Alors nous sommes dans les roussales et dans les créatures aquatiques. Voici les figurants. Évidemment.
I don't think the focus is very. That's more like it. A little Wagner, I do believe. Jawohl, Wagner on the French radio station. I'm not sure what opera this is from, though. I'm not even sure it's Wagner. It's a pretty good imitation Wagner, though. that is Siegfried. It's one of those, yeah, Siegfried. One of those interludes that when I've actually sat through Siegfried, which is my least favorite of the Ring operas, I usually sound asleep at this point. But how appropriate to be driving through Deutschland, even though we're not very close to the Rhine. But we're driving through Deutschland listening to Wagner. I mean, it's pretty nice. There's a little Dorf. I think maybe this is where Brunhilde is asleep on the mountain. But I don't remember, in which case Siegfried's going to come wake her up. Now the music is swelling. And the battery is running low. And the music is fading. That's okay. Here's some more windmills. Then I'm going to have to turn this off because yeah, I think old Siegfried is coming up to wake Brunhilde up. I wonder what Siegfried would think of these windmills. And I see a windmill, I want to chop it down, yeah? Okay, so I'm in Trier, and as usual, I got turned around a couple times. Went to the hotel. They didn't have parking like they'd promised. That's okay. I went to the city parking lot. Hotel wouldn't let me check in till 2. It's now 1. So naturally I'm heading off to the sites, and naturally took me a while to get my bearings, but now I have them, and I'm heading downtown to the old city. So this is the market square, and beyond it there is obviously, oh, look at this. There's obviously a major cathedral behind it, but I'm not sure that's the Constantine Basilica, but we're going to go find out. That's why I'm here. So there's a nice fountain in the square. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to look this way. And way over there in the distance, we'll visit it later, is the Porta Nigra, the Black Gate, which was part of the Roman walls. This was a big Roman city. I'll pan around here. Very nice. Wasn't so nice when I was getting lost, but it's much better now. Actually, this place kind of reminds me of Salzburg, to tell you the truth. Okay. So this is the main Catholic cathedral here in town. The Dome of Our Lady, and I'll come back to this because it's interesting, of course, in its own right. But I came here to see Roman stuff, so I'm going to see if I can find the Constantine Basilica. And there it is. One of my main objectives for this trip is the Basilica of Constantine. I hope it's open. So this is the Cathedral of Constantine. It's been destroyed and rebuilt a couple of times, including being destroyed by the barbarians in 1946. It's really amazing. It's now a Lutheran church and has been for years. Talk about spare. I'm just amazed at the size of this thing. I guess I shouldn't be. I've been in enough Roman ruins. This one is exceptional. I'm not sure I had the sound on before, so I'm going to do this again. This is the Basilica, which was built in the time of Constantine, about the year 300 or so. And of course it was destroyed by the barbarian Americans and Brits in the Second World War. They didn't have to destroy it, but they chose to destroy it. As if there were any Nazis in this place. This thing is huge. And there's a bunch of panels over here on the wall showing the history of this place, which I'm going to take still photos of. I think probably this would have been plastered over originally. I don't think the Roman patricians who ran this town would have been sitting here looking at bricks all the time. That said, this certainly gives you an idea of what the size and power of this town must have been in Roman times. And now it's a Lutheran church. How about that? Alright, I'm going to go take some pictures of the history. Okay, so this is the apse, I think it's called, front of the church. There's a sound reflector. And, I mean, you got to check out this organ. Goodness gracious. That's an organ if I ever saw one. So, turns out this thing is really a 19th century reconstruction, because half of this place, 2/3 of this place, was pulled down in the 17th century for some obnoxious aristo. Oh wow. He just kept a couple of the walls and incorporated them into his palace. I mean, that's so obnoxious. he had no more respect for this place than the American and British barbarians who burned it down in the war for no reason. No good reason. Well, it's the old story. Too much to see, too little time. I really want to go see the museum. Has a bunch of Roman stuff in it, but I also want to see that church, which is a 13th century Gothic structure, so I better go see that. You don't get to see a 13th century Gothic structure every day. Certainly not in Springfield, Illinois. Okay, so this is the Cathedral of Our Lady, 13th century cathedral. Obviously Catholic. The Lutherans got the Constantine Basilica. The guidebook tells me this thing was built during the years 1235 to 1260. That's pretty old. I mean, Frederick II was still alive then. He didn't die until 1250. So it was being constructed while he was the Holy Roman Emperor. So, let's go inside. Okay, so this is the inside of this fabulous church. I've taken lots and lots of stills. Right now, we are above the high altar. Behind me, and I won't show it, I have pictures of it, is the alleged robe of Jesus, which of course is impossible, but typical of medieval, Middle Ages kind of piety. It's up in, it's behind that little curtain. It's a very nice Baroque sculpture up there. So this was a Gothic church, but obviously it was redecorated in the Baroque style. I'm going to go down the stairs and go down to the floor. So here's some pictures on the wall of what the Holy Robe looks like. And they opened it up in the 1800s. Okay, we'll start with the fabulous looking work. And look at that thing. And, I mean, it's one great sculpture after another. And I did take stills of a lot of these if you want to see them. There's the high altar. That's where I was. Earlier you can see the gold door with the behind which is the holy seamless robe. Check out that sculpture up there. That's impressive. All this sculpture is impressive. The pulpit is unbelievably beautiful. I took a lot of pictures of that. It's almost my favorite thing in here. As you can see, the Germans are quiet and respectful. They're not like crazy Italians in an Italian church. There's the really nice one of the Last Supper. Not sure when all these were done, but one thing's for sure, they're all well done. Beautiful stuff. The pulpit. There's an indication of when that was done. It was in the 1500s. I have a picture of that. Here's one. Nice little piece. Got the Prince Elector, John Hugo, kissing the feet of the infant Jesus. Looks like some of the three kings are there too. Ah, check out that cool camel. That's very cool. Don't know when that was. But here's one of Michael the Archangel. And I'm going to go back and look more at this fabulous piece of art back here. And that is a just gorgeous crucifix. I think even the Lutherans would like to have that one in a church. They're not too much into all this Mary stuff, though. There's Jesus coming out of the grave. Interestingly, I'll get up closer. Interestingly, there's a bishop there who I take it is Francisco Giorgio, Francis George. He's there at the resurrection. And here's a couple of queens. Well, that queen is a martyr queen. You can see she has the palm. That's the symbol of martyrdom. And I'm not sure who this is. She has a sword. Now maybe that's another symbol of martyrdom. Anyway, Francisco Giorgio, Archbishop of Treviso, Bishop of Worms. We'll figure out all the, see, MDCC, it's 1756. And could this be our friend Charles the Great? Or maybe one of the Ottos? We'll never know unless I buy a detailed guidebook to this place. That sure looks like Charles the Great to me. Karl der Grosse. He's definitely wearing a suit of armor. And of course he has his sword. Now I'm up in the choir loft. And you can see there's chairs for the singers with all these cool woodcuts above them. Jubilate Deo. Ad Torremos Dominum. Not only are these gorgeous woodcuts, but between them and under them, there's some gorgeous wood inlay. I'll get some close-ups of some of that. Unfortunately, this inlay is so highly lacquered that there's quite a bit of reflection, but still, you get the picture. That's good German workmanship if I ever saw it. And so here's the choir loft in its entirety. Very nice. I like to sing up here, but I don't reckon I'll ever get to. And above the singers, as they sing, they get to look up at that gorgeous ceiling. You can see how this works. Just like that. And then somebody's buried there. Probably some bishop of some sort. One last view of the church before I leave, because I got to get to the museum. Well, as usual, I had it all wrong. One should always read the guidebook before one starts talking about what one is looking at. That other cathedral, that thing has been around in one form or another for 1,700 years. It's just been built and changed and built and changed and burned down by Vikings and everything else. But this beautiful church, this is the one that was built in the 13th century in the pure Gothic form. This thing is just gorgeous. Obviously, the barbarians destroyed the stained glass, because that's modern stained glass. Modern bad stained glass. But the church itself, I'm sure it was rebuilt after the war. But look at these vaults. Look at that. For example, just look at that. Look at that thing. And look at that. I mean, it's beautiful. And I might say, very tastefully painted. I'm sure that painting up there doesn't go back to 1250. And clearly this altar is in response to Vatican II. But this is obviously a going concern church. I mean, obviously this is a parish church. Wow. I should have come in here at first. Actually, what I should have done was read the little guidebook first. Oh, okay, so that bad stained glass from 1967. Bad. Go ahead. So, the sun went behind a cloud, making the stained glass more visible. But again, the barbarians destroyed the stained glass. That's not to say that, of course, that Hitler wasn't a barbarian, because he was, but it wasn't necessary to destroy these beautiful churches. And here, this is for Jan, her favorite saint. Oh man, San Antonio. There he is. So, like I said, this cathedral started out as a Roman cathedral. I'm going to have to read up more on this. It's very confusing. I think this is the Roman wing of the church, which was then expanded over the years into that monster cathedral there is today. And St. Helena, who of course was Constantine's mother, is buried in this church. And that's why the true robe is here. She got that in her pilgrimage to Jerusalem back in the 300s. And of course she brought back the piece of the true cross, which is sitting in Rome. Unfortunately, I can't figure out how to get to her crypt because her skull is there. That's why I came around to the back here, and there's a guy dressed like a Roman giving a lecture in German. So, I guess we're just not going to get to see the crypt. Boo-hoo. So before we leave this amazing place, it's well worth pointing out that the Archbishop of Treves, like the Bishop of Salzburg, was the head of an ecclesiastical state. And as such, he was one of the most important people in the Holy Roman Empire, in the sense that he was one of the 7 electors. Now, that's the Holy Roman Empire long after Frederick II. That's the Holy Roman Empire that lasted until Napoleon killed it. And I'm not sure how long how long the bishop was the elector. But for several hundred, probably, I'm going to guess 400 or 500 years, the bishop ran this little country, little statelet, and got to help elect the Holy Roman Emperor. Crazy, huh? Maybe that's why this place reminded me of Salzburg right away. Maybe there's something about the architecture, or perhaps just the air of the place. I'll never know. Now, Trier has some ruins of a sizable Roman bath. I'm not going to go down there because I want to get over to the museum, and it is 3:30. But there's part of it, and there's part of it. But of course, it's very interesting. But I don't really have time, and they want €4, and in truth, the baths at Rome are a lot more interesting, although this is interesting because of its location. And if I had more time, I would definitely go in. But I don't have more time, so I'm going to head on over to the museum and see if I can get in there for a little while. Whoops, once again I didn't have the microphone on. I'm going to have to fix that when I get home. But here then are the baths. I'm sure they've been reconstructed over the years, but very nicely done. And man, I'm getting attacked by a herd of flies, so I need to get out of here and go find the museum. So Trier was, I believe, the largest Roman city north of the Alps. I guess I never realized that it was so important that St. Helena came up here and ended up being buried here. And Constantine had a basilica here. I didn't really know about any of that. Or it's probably stuff I knew had forgotten though. Until I started planning for this trip. I knew there were Roman ruins up here. Mitzi took us to a reconstructed Roman fort, but I didn't know the extent of it here in Trier. And then once I found out, I had to put it on the list. So I walked around to the back side. And here it is. There's that characteristic Roman construction. The bricks and the rocks. Now, who knows how much of this was reconstruction, but if reconstruction is done with taste and restraint. Besides which, it's the only bath in town. Well, now my poor feet are in bad shape. I gotta find my way back to the hotel. That's the next ordeal. So I'm not totally clear on it, but I think this is the palace of the Duke that ran this place in the 16 and then later 1700s. And here's a nice little park that everybody congregates in. A nice little reflecting pool. I don't think this was the original reflecting pool, but the statues obviously are. Now this palace over here is the same color as the State Museum, which was, well, I don't know. I don't know if the State Museum was part of this complex or if it was later. So here's the front facade of this palace. It's pretty nice. Now, I don't know what the history is of how the secular authorities took control of this place away from the Archbishop, but my guess, and it's only a guess, is that it had something to do with the Reformation. But I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in German history. Here's another nice little park area that now the descendants of the subjects of the Prince Elector, now they walk freely through here, which is a good thing. Death to the aristos. Thought I'd get a close-up of that crazy sculptural group up there. Now here's a nice little bonbon. This is the corn mark, or corn plaque. Corn, doggone it. Let's see. Yes, the corn marks. So I suppose that's why that guy has a sheaf of grain. That's kind of cool. This one has grapes. And on top of that is St. Michael. Interesting little thing. Over here, by the way, is a street preacher. Love versus death. Which way? Guilt, death. Which way? Love. Well, now here's a music store for Jan. Now what's really interesting is I was all turned around and mixed up this morning. But guess what? Here's my hotel right there. This is actually a pretty small downtown. So I know where the hotel is. I know where it is in relationship to, you know, the main drag, the main square. Now I gotta go find the car and get some stuff out of the car. I'll go check in. And there is the parking lot, which is just about 3 blocks from my hotel. And this morning I was so turned around. But, you know, you got to get lost in a city in order to understand it. It also helps to have a map, which I picked up with my guidebook. It has a map in it, which made everything make sense. Okay, these last pictures here are of the Porta Nigra, the Black Gate. This was the biggest gate into the ancient city of Trier. The gate is still here. It's a huge thing, but I wasn't able to get to it during the daytime, and when I tried taking video of it at night, you couldn't see anything. It was too dark. So I went out, took some stills, and here are the stills for your edification. And this concludes the video relating to the city of Trier.